Welcome to Hull & Estates and Succession Planning, a series of podcasts hosted by Ian Hull and Susanna Popovic-Montag. The podcast you're listening to will provide information and insights into estate planning in Canada from the offices of Hull & Hull in Toronto. Here are Ian and Susanna.
Hi, and welcome to Hull & Estate and Succession Planning.
Hello, Susanna.
Hi there, Ian. How are you?
I am fantastic and anxious to be back.
Yes, it's great to have you back.
Well,
after your appearances on, BNN, CNN, ABC, CTV, it's just amazing that you took the time to come back and join me here on our Hull TV.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, and I will say thank you to you because I have had a nice run with some of the mainstream media, but it's always good to be back in our home. And for those of you who have been regular listeners and watchers of our video podcasts, we chose to take a little bit of a hiatus, certainly over the summer, and we're back refreshed.
That's right.
We've learned from podcasting, and in anything you do, you sometimes need to step back, think about it, and regroup.
That's for sure.
So we've done that, and we're excited to do that, and we're excited to be back. So we've got a couple of topics we want to talk about today. Mm-hmm. The first is just a bit of a shout out and a thank you for those who have thought that we had some semblance of ability on the video podcasting end, and we were mentioned in the CBA National Magazine, the Canadian Bar Association National Magazine, for the Best in Digital Marketing article referring to our video podcasts as being something of some consequence. And certainly, again, back to the mainstream media, we really appreciate the support that we get for our podcasts and our video podcasts in particular, and the hard work, more importantly, the hard work of the judges, who, this is a great article, and we'll have a link to it in the show notes, but it's a great article because it talks about really where digital marketing is going with lawyers, and the sorts of things that are out there. We were fortunate enough to be mentioned in it, but more importantly, I know these judges worked very hard to go through a tremendous amount of social media material to come up with what turns out to about a 3 or 4 page article. And that can't be an easy task because there's some fantastic product out there on the digital marketing and on the multimedia and the social media side with lawyers.
There certainly is, and it's just so great that, that people will take the time to actually give this kind of feedback. We're lucky that it was positive feedback, but any feedback is good feedback because we always learn from it.
Well, it's absolutely true. So again, thanks to the hard work of the author of the article himself, but also the hard work of the judges. So on to a more substantive issue a little bit, and one of the things we did in our time off was scour the parade of options that are available to lawyers and to clients in the context of estates and so on. And we're going to talk about in our next few podcasts some of the best ofs that we've seen over the last short while. One of them is a new product that's out that we thought was really interesting, and it is called willfinder.ca. And we'll have a link to the show note, but the product itself is what it says in the description of the link, and that is Will Finder. And it is an Ontario-based program that I think brings some really interesting ideas to the forefront for lawyers, and more importantly, I think it is one of those options that our clients should know about as a possibility in terms of where to put your will and how to control what is a very important document.
And it always strikes me as such a surprise when I have clients come to meet with me. And just over the course of the summer, for instance, I've had several occasions where people come in and it's a matter of searching for the will. They know that there's a will, they know there was a will, and they've looked everywhere traditionally that people would look amongst the deceased possessions and where they would expect it to be. And when it can't be found, it's always very difficult for the family because they always know what the deceased intended but can't demonstrate that.
Well, and we have so many legal hurdles, and we're going to talk a little bit about lost wills in a subsequent podcast, but we wanted to start with this particular product to illustrate what is, in my view, it's an innovative, user-friendly application to register the location of your will. Not the will itself, but the location of your will.
And the great thing about that is it maintains the sanctity of the whole process and the confidentiality of the terms of the will by having just the location be something that people can identify. Where is that will as opposed to what does it provide?
And this isn't novel in Canada. We already, Quebec has had this sort of arrangement for many years in the sense of being able to locate wills, locations of wills, and British Columbia has brought in the same type of process there. So I think Ontario's a little bit behind the step on the idea. It's nice that there's a product out there that is actually very user-friendly but fairly simple to work through. But it's also, I think, very important to remind our clients of the necessity to know where, your beneficiaries in your estate to know where the location of the will is, and this solves that problem, as it's been solved in Quebec for many years and now is being solved in British Columbia. So, certainly we find lawyers aren't automatically aware of locations of wills when our clients die, and some of us who will read the death notices on a daily basis, but I learned that trick from my father. But it's an idea that benefits the client, I think, much more so than even the lawyer.
Well, and that's for sure, because at the end of the day, the whole idea of doing a will is that your wishes are ultimately upheld. If people can't find that document that sets out those wishes, then it defeats the whole purpose of it. I understand the concerns over confidentiality. I can understand the passage of time and things coming up in the meantime. But by putting these, the wills, locating them and putting them on people on notice as to where they are, or people who are looking for them being able to find where they are, I think that's the real key here and the real benefit of this particular willfinder.ca product.
And it's interesting, it's a safe and secure way to do it because your only location data is involved, so you're not actually leaving the will in a depository, so to speak. And we wanted to, before this podcast, to go through the program just to see if it is in fact user-friendly enough, and it was simply a straightforward registration process, but the idea that that struck me, I thought was really helpful, was the fact that it's all pre-populated and it is more or less like signing up for a newsletter on a website. It's really literally that straightforward. So that's a big help, and I think one of those innovative products that we like to at least tell our listeners and our clients about, so that they can consider that as another option. It is a much more sophisticated option than what exists now in Ontario, and that is you're entitled to deposit your will with the local estates registrar. No one does it, and a big part of it is because of the bureaucratic mechanics of it, and that it's an Ontario government-based service, and some people worry about whether or not someone's going to get access to the will itself and so on. And so this product has brought the pricing down on that significantly. Anybody can do it, and I think it's modestly priced, and it also allows for easy access to the location only to protect some privacy. So that is just one of our innovative and new developments that we've been following since we've taken our slight break from the video and the podcast world. And again, we're really happy to be back. We are looking forward to a busy fall with some interesting discussions, I hope, about topics of importance to both lawyers and clients who deal with estates. So thank you very much, Susanna, for joining me today and our post-Labor Day inaugural podcast to get us back up and running, and we look forward to more and all, of course, our regular podcasts.
Yes, thank you very much, Ian.
Thanks, Susanna.
You have been listening to Hall on Estate and Succession Planning by Ian Hall and Susanna Popovic-Montag. The podcast that you've been listening to has been provided as an information service. It is a summary of current issues in estates and estate planning. It is not legal advice, and you're reminded to always speak with a legal professional regarding your specific circumstance. To listen to other Hull & Hull podcasts or leave any questions or comments, please visit our website at hullestatemediation.com.